Manage. What does that even mean? This is the question that prompted me to type the word manage into Google earlier or late last week. I was pondering my life over a cup of coffee and realized that my own definition of what managing means had actually shifted over time. And so I was curious to see if my new understanding was consistent with what the professionals had to say. There we go. So this is what Google came up with. 2 definitions. The first one sounds very businesslike. It is to be in charge of a company, establishment, or undertaking to administer or run. And then the second one sounds a little bit more personal, to succeed in surviving or in attaining one's goals despite heavy odds against you. As I thought about the words on the screen in front of me and tried to pull that back into my life and draw some parallels to see if I agreed with it, I didn't really feel like this captured the full essence of what I had come to understand as good managing. So I took the liberty of adjusting it a little bit. And the definition that I came up with is to succeed in surviving by learning or by taking charge and running your life in a way that allows you to accomplish your goals. This definition clearly was very liberally borrowed from Google, just rearranged a little bit. But I think it also puts it in order for me in terms of components of it. You can survive without ever learning how to manage your life or a company or anything really well, and much less attaining your goals. So I kind of see them as building blocks that contribute to each other and helps to position you in new places in life. When I think back on my own life, just a little over a year ago, I was on medical leave, barely surviving. I'm really embarrassed to even go into any detail on how bad my condition was. I was barely functioning. Mainly my primary focus was making sure my credit didn't suffer in the process, so that was the one thing that I was always on top of, and then making sure I kept my job. So whatever work deliverables were due is what I focused on. And this was not really a fun place to live. In fact, it felt a little bit like that. It felt very deflated. In the months leading up to the completion of my master's, I actually felt like I was crawling all the way to the finish line. And I couldn't help but feel like I had put in all this effort for what? I didn't feel happy to be done. I had nothing left in me to give. And it actually challenged me to go on a transformative journey. So I'm also a big fan of Brené Brown, and I actually came across her work on vulnerability before the work on trust and perfectionism. And I realized that a big part of the struggle to survive is a struggle with perfectionism. We get all of these definitions of who we should be and what are important goals and what are things that are going to earn us prestige from society, and you can't help over time but internalize some of that and try to live up to other people's expectations, but that's not really you. That's not really the unique person that you were created to be. I did a little bit of research, and according to a blog, it's a Harvard blog, but a contributor to this blog, a sperm has a 1 in 400 quadrillion chance of reaching the right egg to make the unique person that you are. Those are pretty rough odds to survive in, but we're all here, and I think we can do better than this. So this is how I felt for a while. I felt like I was just juggling, trying to hang on to the right things, and then I learned that if I started taking inventory of the things that I was juggling and finding ways to manage them better, I could actually feel like I was getting a hang of life. So I started experimenting with different ways. It probably took me about a year to experiment with different ways to manage my time, and I'm just now getting to the point where I feel like I'm kind of on top of what I'm supposed to be on top of. I feel like I can manage some of the learning curves that I have in my job, because activities that I have to still manage in my personal life are becoming easier. To give you an example, one of the things that I have always struggled with for the last 5 years, I'm a big nutrition, I wouldn't call it a guru, but I've always been obsessed with nutrition. And I discovered 5 years ago that I can't have gluten because my eyes swell up and it just destroys my quality of life. I've been struggling for the last 5 years to find a way to manage my eating plan without reverting to fast food that is gluten-free, or without sticking to microwave meals that make it a little bit easier for me to eat food that's a little bit more tasty than just rice and plain meat on a plate with some vegetables. I discovered a tool called Eat This Much, which allows me to sit down for 20 minutes, look at a menu that's pre-populated based on my preference in cost, menu complexity, food allergies, and the calorie count that I want, and then adjust the menu, send it to my email after I've adjusted the grocery list to reflect the items that I already have on hand, and within 2 hours, I'm basically back home, unpacking my groceries, ready to go on with the rest of my life. This has really freed up a lot of capacity for me to start feeling like I can actually achieve my goals like this. Feeling excited. I have found that in my work environment, I'm much closer to my career goal than I had thought I was. I was so distracted by the things in my life that I was struggling to manage and to run efficiently that I didn't even realize how close I was and almost quit. But because of this freed up capacity, I now have time to read books that would actually help me with my professional development, and I actually feel like something that I thought was maybe a pipe dream to actually be able to help to drive strategy processes forward is something that I can actually develop as a skill and have the time to teach myself, since mentors are not in wide circulation. So the way I think about this, there are 3 different components, and this is the spot that you want to be in, or that I want to be in. If you're just surviving, you're kind of going through life, but you might get to the end of it and just look back and feel, eh. If you're running or administering life, you might be doing all the things that society wants you to do and all the things that society thinks is successful, but still come up short at the end of life and feel like you didn't really do what you could have done. But if you are able to survive with the unique you and chase goals that excite you, and then run and administer the processes that are going to need to be in place for you to achieve those goals, then I think you can get to a sweet spot in life where you feel like life is perfect. And I have found in my own life that I'm much more joyful since I've taken time to actually understand who I am, what my limits are, what my desires are, what brings me joy, and designing a life that enables that. We had each of us a 1 in 400 quadrillion chance to make it to life. We have one life. How are you going to manage yours?